up, the first car that I was up against in round one was I believe was a stage 2 underground Huracan, making somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100 horsepower.
The drag race qualifying to get through. So as soon as we're done with the roll race eliminations, we're going to get into round 2 of drag race qualifying. Well, this is going to be hard to
definitely wasn't gonna lift, that was for sure. Whoa, we got a lot of boost. Crank it down in here, but it did what it was supposed to. Let's see what we have. Thank you. Holy 182.9 182.9. That's an all-time best. I mean, the other guy looks like he let out, or I don't know, something might have happened, but That was cooking. Woo! 182. Whoa! I almost broke out. Whoa! That was absolutely cooking. Cooking. Oh my God. Baltic in the house.
So that race went pretty well. The gentleman was in the left lane, I was in the right lane. And in case you've never been to one of these events, left lane sets the pace, which means the left lane takes off first, and then the right lane has to catch up to it, set the pace at 60 to 65 miles an hour, and then you hit it when the light turns green. He ended up taking off from the starting line a lot faster than I anticipated. And I am always I'm pretty aware and ready for a hard launch, because some people take off super slow and some people take off super fast. Well, he took off fast, and I almost peeled out, or I think I did do a burnout trying to catch him in first gear, put it in second gear, went to third, and by the time we lined up, it seemed like he kind of slowed down. So it wasn't the cleanest start, and I wasn't sure if they were going to give us a green light, but they did. Now this gentleman had been trapping, you know, a lot slower than my car, because the car, I was making more power than his. He was trapping in the high 160s, low 170s. So maybe he was just trying to pace to hopefully get like a good hit on me or something like that. But nevertheless, I think it looked like he kind of let off midway through the race, maybe after he saw that he wasn't going to catch me. I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. So I got that win, and I believe I trapped 179 or 180. No, I think it was 180 or 181, and that was not turned all the way up. I was really close to being turned all the way up, but the car ran great. So I think that was my first 180 plus mile an hour pass. I was super excited. The car ran great. Pulled back into the lanes for round 2. And we already got a late start in the day because of rain earlier in the morning. And so as we're waiting for round 2 to begin, what happens? It rains again. So after waiting around for hours, I got to the track around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I decided to finally get a bite to eat late in the afternoon around 5 or 6 o'clock. And got tired because I had a long drive in the morning, and I've been waiting on the track to get dried up. So I went in my truck, ate, and I ended up passing out, fell asleep for a little bit. And I want to say it was around 7 o'clock when the racing resumed, round 2. And I woke up because I heard cars passing, racing down the track. And I asked the dude next to me who they called to go up, because I wasn't listening. And sure enough, they called my class. So I jumped in a car, threw all my stuff in, ran up to the lanes, and sure enough, they said that I was next. So I was like, oh man. So I rush up to the lanes. The car is ice cold. It's like 50 degrees outside, high 40s, low 50s. A lot of people had left the track because it rained 2 times now, and it was super cold, and no racing had been happening for a really long time. So the car is super cold. I have the car running. My tuner George from JMS here in San Antonio is busting butt trying to finish wiping the water off the car, because the car's soaked. There's water all over it. Can't go down the racetrack with water all over the car. So he's doing that. I'm getting dressed and I'm trying to warm the car up as fast as possible, because the last thing you want to do is race a car with ice cold coolant temperatures, ice cold oil temperatures. And on top of that, I'm a 6-speed and my transmission's ice cold. So it's really hard to shift, and it's bad on the gears when you have cold synchros and cold gears. Excuse me. And so typically what I do before any of these roll races is I pace my car in the pit lanes in first gear, high, and then I put it in second gear, and I warm the transmission up like that. And I also try to get the car close to operating temperature or at operating temperature prior to getting in the lanes, because after that you sit there and you don't know what's going to happen. Something might happen to a car. They might have an oil down, and so if you sit there for half an hour, it's 50 degrees outside, you're gonna have a cold car again, and your transmission is gonna be cold. So nevertheless, I'm warming the car up, trying to get it ready, right? And I haven't changed any settings on the car. I didn't know who I was racing, which GTR it was. I just knew it was a GTR. And so I pull up, all the settings are left the same. I do a long burnout to try to buy me some more time to warm the car up. So I'm warming the car up, I'm rolling it back in reverse. I'm revving it, trying to get it warm, as possible.
Okay, guys. Next car is coming up. Left lane with a 182.
race or the lineup was very even. And typically, when I race a GTR, I like to make sure that I get the hit. I need to get out on that car because when I shift, I'm gonna lose ground. Well, if you look in the video, as you can see here, I was only able to get on the brakes to brake boost, which helps me build boost as I'm rolling so I can leave really hard. I was only able to brake boost for less than 2 seconds. That's not enough to spool an 88mm turbo. It's a lot harder that way. I need 3-4 seconds to really bring the turbo up so I can take off hard. So when we take off, we're side by side, which is good when you can be side by side with a 1300 horsepower GTR. But when I shift, I knew I was gonna lose some ground. So I went to high boost early in 3rd gear to try to gain some ground, knowing that I was gonna lose some ground when I shifted. Well, when I shifted, I lost about a car distance, which I knew I was going to lose. But I was hoping that the power in 4th gear was gonna get me to go around him. So as I'll show you on the time step, I'm making up ground on the big end. I'm walking him down, I'm out mile an hour-ing him the whole back half of the track. And I could see that because I could see him coming back to me. I just didn't know how much room I was gonna have on the big end to catch him. And sure enough, he ends up beating me by like 9/1000ths of a second. Super close race. I looked at the margin of victory and I did a margin of victory calculator online, and it estimated the margin of victory in distance to be about 8 feet, 8 to 9 feet. And on the Corvette's pretty. This C5 is a pretty long car. 8 feet is maybe 3/4 of a car length, half a car length or so, something like that. So I didn't lose by much. I trapped my highest speed that I've ever trapped at 183.8 miles an hour. The breakout speed, which means if you had gone this fast, you'd be disqualified, was 183.9. So my breakout speed, or my time and my speed was as fast as I could have gone without breaking out. He trapped like 181 or 182. So I had more mile an hour on him, which means I was coming around him. I just ran out of room. So nothing to be down about. The car performed awesome. All I needed to do was leave a little harder. And if I wasn't half asleep and got a chance to adjust some of my settings, I would have been able to do that. But the car ran good, loaded up on the trailer, and it was fine. So I'm definitely happy. If you've been to any of the TX2K roll events, or if you've been to Texas Invitational or seen Texas Invitational races in the past, 180 plus mile an hour for a Corvette 6-speed is very impressive. There aren't a lot of Corvettes that have done that at all. You can look at the past times, or look at past times at TX2K, or look at the Texas Invitational races on YouTube. 1320's got them, the racing channel, you name it. There aren't many Corvettes out there that have trapped 180 plus on any roll event. I think Slipstream or something like that up north in the Northeast has one at some kind of circuit track. There aren't any Corvettes that are trapped. There are a few Corvettes, but not many that can trap 180 plus. There's some big F1X, 1400 horsepower Corvette. They're not trapping 185 miles an hour. It's hard. So for this car with its meat and potato setup, little cheesy electronic boost controller, 6-speed, non-sequential. It's not a dog box. It's a true stock transmission. For it to trap 184 miles an hour, that's huge. I never had the goal for this car to trap that fast. And to put that in perspective, the year that I won 2 years ago, I went 176. I think the fastest I went ever was, I might have went 177 once, but I think it was like 176 is pretty much what I was going. And this year again, no Corvettes were even touching 180. So I did that consistently, 180 plus. So that's huge. That shows the potential the car has and how fast it is. So I couldn't be happier, and I can't thank everybody enough. I've done a lot of things on this setup currently to get it to where it's at, to be able to do those things. So thank you guys for watching and subscribing to check this old girl out. I have another update coming from last week, and that'll show you why I was so busy, and I'll post a picture of that on Instagram, so be sure to follow there. So Appreciate it. Check me out next time. Take it easy.